Welcome back to the Multifamily Women's Podcast. We are so happy today to have an amazing guest, Amy Barricelli. She is with RR Living. She's their Senior Vice President. Amy, we're so glad you're here today.
Thank you, Lauren. I'm really glad to be here. I appreciate the invitation and I'm excited to chat with you this morning.
Same here. And so let's start with how you got into multifamily and then how you ended up at RR Living.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So I guess everybody has a story about how they didn't necessarily intend to have a career in property management and multifamily crept up on them. So similarly, I also got into multifamily by a means of which maybe others did not. I never really started out in like a typical leasing consultant position. Wasn't on property initially. I actually answered an ad in a newspaper back in '99, and then I was, without realizing it, I was responding to an opportunity to be a part of a sales team for advertising in a magazine, Apartment Guide, that was
Mhm.
free to people for people to pick up when they went shopping or when they went to, pick up their blockbuster rental videos. That's how old I am.
I remember
Um,
Blockbuster.
do you? Okay, good. All right, good. Well, and I think this is the
Yes.
best fun tidbit about that. Back then, we were offering, a full page ad or whatever you buy. And with it, we would provide you with a value add additional option of this weird new thing called the internet, where we were just starting to launch this website where we had to explain to people that there would be these listings. And maybe people would go on the website and they would find out more about your community. Otherwise, because back then, the way that I was able to generate the interest and overall handle my sales responsibilities was I just drove with a map, with a paper map from property to
Wow.
property. I will say I met so many people who are still in our industry, who I see at our events all the time.
Yeah.
Like, the one who hired me for that position is still very active in our industry. So I started out on the side of being more of the associate member, partner, vendor, and I did that for about 10 years. Eventually, because I was selling a service, I had
Mhm.
a regional provider, a great company, it's Corman Communities, who had asked if I would be interested in selling with them because they really provided more of a corporate suite.
Mhm.
And back at the time, this was going back to '09, they were providing something nobody really was with a lifestyle and experience. So that was a little bit more of a premium. Now today, I think everyone's been smarter to that. So
Right.
I ended up jumping ship and coming over on the management owner side. And since then, I've had a couple of different positions and, as always, different companies. And like so many of our colleagues, I ended up here at RR Living because of a collaborative opportunity with another company where we were going to merge.
Yeah.
And I had worked with our CEO for years previously. She's the type of inspirational CEO you want to be a part of and partner with.
Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity, which has been about a year and a half now, I came over to RR Living. At the time, it was Reef Residential. And a year ago, right before Thanksgiving last year, we rebranded to have the missions, the core values, and our processes, our procedures, and what defines us really become part of our namesake as well. So we rebranded.
Wow. What a
Yeah.
story. First of all,
Oh, thanks.
amazing. I want to know. So I love that you have such a robust experience. And I feel like having to knock on doors as marketing, that's just to me like an
Right.
amazing start to having to really think and get creative and then introducing the internet and seeing how far innovations have come since then. I just love your story. So, how has that robust experience kind of channeled in your current role or now kind of having that background, what do you take into consideration that you feel like helps you be a mentor to others and all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love this question because I remember the first time that I was at a training session, again, with one of these marketing partners to the multifamily industry. It was at that point, I think I was with a different one at that point, but
Mhm.
selling advertising. And now I think the majority of them are either not here anymore or owned by one large co-star group. So
Yeah.
essentially it was back then, it was before when there were kind of the multiple options out there. when it came to print magazines.
Yeah.
And I remember that after the internet, probably about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years afterwards, we had this new potential medium that we had to deal with called Craigslist. And then we had this other back to back about a year, year and a half later with social media. And it was really
Mhm.
just Facebook at the time. MySpace didn't play into things when it came to multifamily marketing. But
Yeah.
I can remember kind of being like, I'm stuck in the ways that I know work. I was in my mind, successful. I've been to our president's clubs year after year. I'd done what I've been promoted. I've been this and that. What
Yeah.
do I need to know what this social media is? Why do I have to change? Right. So it became very much that mindset of managing to what I knew best.
Yeah.
And the reasons I even started to learn what social media was and the impact it was going to have was due to the job that I had at the time. It was part of the expectation. But the empowerment that that provided me and the change and growth mindset that I recognized of value after that, because I think,
Mhm.
really, I think that those days, and it partly is because as you're maturing and learning, you're open to new experiences. But I saw the value of it, right? There was nothing that the industry was trying to do that was so innovative. It was trying to catch up at the time. I think that that's what's so different now. I just came back from our leadership retreat. So we spent this past weekend and a couple of these last few days bringing in our best and brightest leaders and chatting about what we're ending the year with and how we perform, but also getting our minds around 2025 and how we want to make sure that it is impactful, what's working and what's not. And we
Mhm.
had a session where we broke out into teams and we had the erase boards and we wrote out what to stop doing, what to start doing, what to continue doing.
Yeah.
And resoundingly, you heard of the AI, the centralization, the opportunities that simplify people's lives, not fearful of their livelihood, become the forefront. And which I'm so proud of. I think we tried to do this. We did this with COVID, right? Some of us were trying the working remotely, or how do we integrate some basic beyond just Chat GPT, but some basic AI functions with
Yeah.
chatbots. We all tried, a little bit of centralization, and it was met with some of our industry veterans or some of our team members with a little bit of concern. And is this a passing fad? What does it mean
Mhm.
for me? But I think every single person now is so aware of the value that nobody wants to do the repetitive work. It's not
Yeah.
empowering, it's not exciting, it's not we get up in the morning to feel like we're contributing to. And if
Yeah.
that's where we're able to steer the industry away and provide even a better experience and more servitude and more opportunities for the residents to feel like they're part of something special with us, then we're giving the right attention in the right places. So, yeah, so I would say that if I'm looking back on it, my 25 years ago introduction to the industry has allowed me to really see the benefits of the growth mindset that we need today to be not just innovative, but be courageous.
Yeah. It's amazing that you said all that, and I'm actually really glad you went there because, all I could think about when you were talking about the internet and us going through such a wild change like that, AI is going to be the internet times a million,
Yeah.
and it's gonna move 10 times faster, right?
Uh,
So we all
Oh,
need to
yes.
not this is not just a passing fad, this is a whole new platform for which our world is going to be built on, as I told you earlier, our behind me is actually our AI innovation lab. So we're
So
literally
cool.
building a space to bring companies through innovation and how to move through that change because we just see we have the foresight to know that everyone's going to need it. Yeah. So I love that you are thinking that way. I love that your teams recognize that this is not going to go away. How do we embrace it? And how do we, to your point, stop doing those redundant tasks and start doing the things we like to do? So
And I love that
what
you
is
brought an immersive experience, right? I mean,
yeah.
until people understand it, that the unknown is always going to be a little bit of a concern, right?
Yeah.
At best. But the fact that you're bringing in an immersive lab-like experience for people to walk through and understand the value, that's the best way to
Mhm.
learn.
Yeah, and it's truly we realize that there's going to be such a level of training that comes along and just knowledge transfer that comes along with all of this to all move through it together, right? So
Right.
so that's why we're doing what we're doing. But I love that you went there because I want to know what our living thinks about, how do we think about technology and being progressive in that way?
Absolutely. So when I noted that we had rebranded to the name RR Living, which plays on our parent company is Reef Holdings. So Reef Residential was the management and operations end of our business. We don't want to lose that. We're very proud of it. And ultimately, though, what we did want to do is bring the fact that we are an experience in providing something special. And that's where the living comes through, right? So my team will tell you that one of my famous little sayings is that I don't get up and go to work in the morning. Get up and go to life in the morning. To
That
do what we do. Yeah. I mean, I also think like the idea of work, it's a negative connotation. I have to get on a plane. I have to get in by 9. Those are just, that's a mindset and revamping the mindset allows for a lot of that opportunity to think of things differently. And I think with our living, we're trying to embrace that. It comes from the top. We have the most, I would say, empowering and innovative CEO that I know I've personally ever had a chance to work with. And this isn't my first company with Melanie
yeah,
French, who's very active also with multifamily women.
we love her.
Yeah,
She's a
and I
favorite of
don't
ours.
blame you, right? Like some of her best qualities are how open she is and how
Yes.
she's everybody she's available to everybody. She's
Hmm.
the first person to do the hardest job or the first person to do whatever is, the most challenging or frustrating and I just think that like, the days are gone where we're segmented into sections and we're not as a holistically part of everybody's experience the day-to-day environment and I think the days are gone where you like I said go to work and you go home and get your weekends because that's what you live for. I refuse to live for my weekends. My hashtag my back when that was the cool thing to have was to create a life you don't need a vacation from. I'm not claiming everything's perfect all the time. I'm not making this into something it's not. I just think that there's a mindset opportunity where the more that you're enjoying, the more passionate that you become because it's the fun part of things. There are plenty of non-fun. But my point in saying all
Hmm.
of that is the non-fun tends to be where your AI and change can start to allow you to be part of the things that make you grow, excited, and embrace the day. I don't really, whether it's a Saturday
Yeah,
or a Tuesday, I get to do the things I want to do versus, and again, we
you're
have
right.
meetings and we have goals and we have deadlines and budgets, but we also have that experience of understanding the power that all of us can bring together as, one unified group of professionals who are looking as we are growing to surround ourselves by like-minded individuals who want to do what's right for the team, who want to do what's right for the residents, who want to do what's right for the ownership. All those things are not independent of each other. They intersect.
Right.
We believe we found exactly how that should run. We are in no way, like I said, the most perfect company, but I just think it's a special company. It empowers people to be different. We want uniqueness. We want to challenge you to bring magic. It's actually one of our core values, that the magic is in the details. We want people to do their best and be their best. Own your business and own your mistakes. And by the way, if you didn't make a mistake, are you human? And the
You're
areas where you can, less afford to make those mistakes, let's get AI involved in that. That's your FASs to get really granular. That's your, let that be where we actually partner with a great company. It's called Buzz CRM. Buzz
Mhm.
AI is actually what it's rebranded to, run by Jake Lisby. And that company has found such an amazing way to bring AI into our delinquency and collections that our team members are not sitting in a community all day having to make those really uncomfortable calls that make them
Right.
more of the problem to a resident and not a partner to the
I love.
resident. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've got a host of ways and a host of opportunities for the team members in our communities, from our resident relations managers, which is the position that we feel is much more impactful than a leasing specialist or agent, when it comes to titles. To somebody who's there to make sure that that experience is the most upfront and prioritized item of our day. and we do recognize, and we talk about this on a regular basis, that it is so impactful and so special to provide people with homes. In the world
Yeah.
we live in today, and politics, although the day after election aside, and all those other things,
Right.
it's a major expense for everyone, whether they're owning or renting. It is probably
Mhm.
your largest expense. It is also going to be the thing that drives you the craziest, and it's also going to be the thing that you're kind of hyper focused on the most because you're making your memories in those four walls.
Yeah.
So if we make those four walls special and beyond just the four walls and into a neighborhood and into an experience, and we hope you choose us year over year over year. And if that's not if that's not for you, then we hope that you have only the best experience while you're here for your next chapter of life. But there's a way to do it and not allow it to become monotonous, kind of be much more in the driver's seat of experience than allowing the day in, day outs to happen to
Right.
you when you're influencing it.
Okay. Everything about the way that you think. I am just taking notes because I love, you just dropped truth after truth after truth. And I love the way that you are approaching things. I love the way that our living is approaching things. Obviously, we adore Melanie. She's a big favorite over here. And Jake and you are both on the council, the Multifamily
Yeah.
Innovation
Yeah.
Council, which is really awesome. And that's kind of part of why we do what we do is to bring so many people together. And now we're doing, we're building the physical space so that we can help move people through exactly what you're talking about, right? So
Mhm.
connect people, realize like issues, how can I help solve for those, So I think it's so important to have connections and know that you're, not in this alone, and true partners, right? Like what you just said about, Buzz CRM or
Mhm.
Buzz AI. That, having those partners that you feel like are really truly alongside you in this journey of rolling something out, that is
Yes,
truly, I think right there, like stuck out to me. Any supplier in this industry, that's what you aim for, is that
absolutely.
kind of relationship where it's like, I'm going to lean on you, I'm going to go to you. That's again what we hope to accomplish here too. So I just think that's wonderful that you're seeing it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, our partnerships are invaluable to us, and we don't claim to know it, like I said, any better or be able to do it on our own. But we think that the level of that passion that everybody brings and the authenticity of being, part of something that people care about. And again, it comes from the top. Our leader is very transparent. We have opportunities to understand how we play into a bigger picture. We have opportunities to understand what we'd like to accomplish beyond 2025. Things that that you're just feeling like you're part of something special.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how it should feel, and I really admire that about you. So tell me more about as a leader, and obviously this is our multifamily women's podcast, and we have our
Mhm.
women's summit. As a leader, that how do you empower other women who are looking to grow in their career or want to take that next step or find that promotion? How do you do
Absolutely.
that?
I'm so glad. Again, that's another kind of just played on this a little bit, but I think that my team will tell you, and kind of phrase that I often say is to take you or take them on the journey with you. So it's my approach is never to give an answer without the why, right? So that everyone's learning. By the time we've spent a few months together and we're in processes and handling some needs or whatever the case may be, or launching a new project or overseeing something new. Um, the team already kind of understands what's going to happen next because I don't ever want to just provide the answer to the issue or solve a problem. I want to bring them on the journey, even the things that are outside of the day-to-day of the realm of my departments. And I'm fortunate because I get to work with marketing and branding, and our resident relations. I do a lot
Right.
with our centralized team, so I've got a hand in a few things. And I will say that, I can think every leader is going to say this. I think every one of our team members is the hardest working, most genuine human beings who are experts and absolute excellent at what they do. And everybody wants to know how they can be bigger or part of in a bigger way of what we do in a more impactful environment. How can I continue to contribute? Otherwise, it's redundant.
Right.
and bringing them on the reasoning and the journey behind a decision or a next step. Or, we had encouraged the directors and our RVPs and the team members who attended this retreat with us this past few days was, now bring this to the team. These are not big secrets that next year we're going to have, new award ceremonies, or we're going to try this, or, we'll be centralizing something differently. What we want the
Yeah.
team to feel is the impactfulness that they have, because nothing is to be launched or to be kind of discussed in a vacuum. The idea is the team should be part of it. And I can tell you time and again, when we have taken an idea or worked with a new procedure or process, heard from the team what the issues were, and instead of having that's what we're doing mentality, revamped it, stopped it, took the team with us on the journey and made sure, which isn't always easy with 418 people. Um,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but it's not that it's less about opinions and it's more about what is right for the business, because the people are the business, right? So as long as we're able to make it make sense in a way that we all want to be part of it, then we're doing the job the right way. So I think my team would say that I hope I inspire them that they're part of something bigger, and they know that if, this time 10 years from now they wanted to be at a particular level or a different department or whatever, that they are influencing that opportunity today.
Wow. That's a that's an applause worthy answer.
Thanks.
I think giving them skin in the game, just like you're saying, like just it's so funny because we actually spoke about this at the Women's Summit. We were, it's so easy to go to compensation as an assumed, what keeps someone around or what helps with that turnover, and really 9 out of 10 times it really is just, I want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to be a part of this. And so you'd be so surprised when you stop and you say, well, what do you think? That was the best thing anyone ever did for me in my career. I was an
Yeah.
assistant. It was 12 years ago, and someone said to me, well, what do you think we should do? And no one had ever asked me that before. And I stuck at that company for 8 years. I told you
Good.
about it, and
Exactly.
I was,
Yes.
I'm like, it wasn't about, at that point, it was just about having a spot, a seat, and being heard. So I
That's
just
right.
think I think that's wonderful what you're doing and how you're empowering
Exactly.
people. So
Yeah. I
what,
mean, the
yeah,
longer our table can be, the more people can be invited to it, right? So that's really what we're trying to do. It doesn't have to have that exclusivity feel. It has to have that the empowerment opportunity, because the leaders of tomorrow are sitting right next to us and we know it. So
yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, very inspirational. And I hope everyone takes notes and takes notes out of that book. And I was thinking when you were talking about too, that kind of traditional that I've witnessed working for certain PMCs is that gap between the corporate office, and on-site teams. And
yeah.
there was a lot from my experience in the past, a lot of disconnect at those two levels. And so it really sounds like are living and you and your team are doing that listening to connect the dots and say, we're not just telling you you have to roll this out. We're asking the people who have to use this product or service or technology, how do you feel about this? Have a hand in building it. And
Mhm.
that alone, the buy-in, the rollout, all of it just kind of comes naturally after that versus you're just telling me I have to do another thing.
That's it. Absolutely. I was with one of our communities in Tallahassee a week ago, and I created a new position that is very resident centric, and it's part of our giving program. So we've got an entire philanthropic arm where we're really responsible, we think, to serve our neighborhood, not just the communities that we're residing in, but everything that we can create as a even bigger and better lifestyle, which I think everybody uses, but a bigger and better lifestyle and experience, so that our resident base really feels part of something special. And I was sitting down with one of our business managers, and we were talking about a couple of items, and I asked that specific person, now that we brought in this new position, did it bring value? Did it bring value? Is your day easier? Are things being, or is it lighter? Now, not every position is needed at every property. It's not necessary, but the fact that that person was like, "This is the exact. You told us that you heard us when we said we needed this resident centric and not just leasing professionals or assistant managers handling resident concerns." And this was the first we felt empowered to understand how we were able to say the words and reciprocate right away as part of that. Because I remember when that person brought it to me only a month before that, I thought, well, why are we looking to maybe replace our third leasing professional there, if you're telling me there are really some opportunities. So we're open. We want to hear from people. We trust the team. They're CEOs of their multi-million dollar business. Again, we have reporting and we have procedures and we have things we need to follow.
Yeah.
Everybody has something they would change, but ultimately, if you're not getting up and, like I said, going to life because you're excited to do it, because there's some
Yeah.
value in it beyond that paycheck, as you said, then I want to know, because that's nobody wants to be surrounded by people who are just kind of there for the reasons that are at the lowest level of what makes us happy, right?
Yeah.
We all want the same thing. We all want to be happy. We all want to be heard, and we all want to have, a little fun while we're doing it. So if we can't laugh through it and we can't smile and we can't say yes to a resident's ridiculous request, because we'll get one, we all know it, and find a way to be that, maverick experience and, come out on top. And I just found a way to give somebody something they never thought they could have. I got a bidet in a property that's, you know, 1980s legacy I can't actually replumb, right? Like, these are things that people get excited to just be empowered to do. So it could be a minor, it could be major, it could be position based, it can be opportunity based, but that empowerment, I think, is just really why people are, and I think there are a lot of our companies doing this in the industry.
Mhm.
I will say, I think that this industry has gotten a lot less rigid. And there are
Yeah.
time after time we see and hear that there are leaders listening, really listening. I just happen to personally think that my experience over the last 7 or 8 years with Melanie French has been at a couple of companies that she's the real deal. It's very genuine with her. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I
building
just
off of
think
that comment.
that absolutely, and I completely agree with you. I mean, and to be thinking about the resident at the end of the day, I just think is brilliant first and foremost, right? Because that's who we're serving at the end of the day. And I love that, when you talk about like, you know, your people, you talk about them like, and I hate to say this, like adults. We hired you for a
Right.
reason. We
Yes.
hired, we trust you. You are a community manager, meaning like your job is to manage this community. And so to actively listen. And when you actively listen, what I've noticed a lot of, to your point, after COVID shook up the way we had to work, and then centralization kind of came out and people were playing with the org chart a little more.
Oh yeah.
What you realize is when you talk to your people, they might say, you know what? If we maybe we pay our maintenance guys a little more and we can run with one less and
Right.
we just bump them, little things like that
Oh,
I'm noticing
absolutely.
people are listening,
Mhm.
making the adjustments, and those adjustments are coming from the site's team's suggestions, which
Absolutely.
brilliant,
Yeah, you hit the
right?
nail on the
Listen.
head. Why are we
Yeah.
not going to listen to those who know best? That's kind of like that where you take the org chart, like you said, flip it upside down. Melanie and I've talked about this, and get your ideas from those who know best, rather than going out to communities once a quarter and claiming, you know what's going on better. I
Mhm.
think one thing that really does, though, set our living apart is that our directors, our leadership, they're expected to be at our communities every month. So, and anything that needs additional, like we have lease ups that are there on a more weekly basis for the leadership. But
Right.
I think the touch point, the partnership is there when you're not coming in just to do an evaluation, just to see, if you're really walking units, or whatever but being there, working out of the office. And I don't mean working out of the back, which makes me crazy.
Mhm.
Sitting with your leasing professionals, sitting with the team and understanding their day in, day out, and celebrating the birthday they happen to have that week because they were going to celebrate it without you anyway, but being part of it,
Yeah.
not making
Yeah.
it something special because you're there. It just opens up that whole partnership in a real way. It's meaningful.
Yeah. And man, on my on-site days, I would have loved to have had that representation. I remember anytime someone from corporate would come to visit,
Exactly.
or it would, oh, an investor must be stopping by. That was the immediate thing, that what came to your mind because it just was such a rarity. So
Exactly. And
I
like you
love
said, when you
that.
take your team members on that journey, I'm the first to say, we'll walk units. Whoever will pick up a piece of trash, and it's fine. And you know that there's somebody with kind of a worry on their face. And I'll say to
Right.
them, I'm not the VIP. In fact, I'm glad I'm the one who just saw that trash. Your residents are the VIP. Worry about them, right? If they would have had to get
Yeah.
down and pick up the trash in front of their home, that's more of a disappointment than whether or not life happened and someone dropped, of course, a piece of trash, even though you did your tour walk early, and made sure that the tour path was ready. I know life happens and that is okay. No one's in
Yeah.
trouble. It's not being documented. It feels like this real, and then people will say to you, like, can I show you something that's going on that I know is going to become a bigger issue, a leak, a problem, but I'm worried about how to present it. And we try
Yeah.
to blur that line between the corporate team. The corporate team is the team in my, and I actually talked about this a little bit on the retreat. In my experience, certainly at our living, our expectation is that corporate team is available when the on-site team community members are, which is going to mean weekends, is doing more, is being, and often is influencing without deciding, right? So that's a little tough too, to be in
Yeah.
a department that is going to provide solutions to situations that they don't know enough about all the time, to take it as this subjective opportunity to offer something that they may not now need an answer to, but not because somebody from corporate came in and said to do it. It's supposed to be
Right.
opportunities to learn and present and become part of something. I mean, to this day, on Tuesday mornings, Central, at 10 a.m., every Tuesday, our CEO runs a 30-minute huddle. And there were times that huddle was a lot of like, here are the percentages of work orders that were closed last week, or here's this or that. Now they are slide after slide about some excitement happening at one of our communities, partnerships, the service aspect of what we do. We do not see this as, a four wall and ceiling lifestyle, living opportunity. I mean, we serve the residents in a way that can be meaningful in their lives. And again, we don't take it extreme. We understand that there are going to be those residents, but when you approach things as though this wasn't how you got into the industry is an accident, and so everything therefore is just happening to you versus
Yeah.
happening because you're affecting it in a way you want it to be affected, it's just a different
Mhm.
mindset. I'm seeing the industry change it, but I feel like we're here at our living kind of, kind of powering through because we really
Yeah.
feel
And
the
paving the
impact.
way and paving the way, lead by example because even if, and you never want that, but people jump from here to here to here all the time. You want everybody to be like, I just want everything to be like it was when I was at our,
Mm.
like I told
Yeah.
you, so to
Yeah.
be a company like that, which it's very much sounds like our living is, like you're a trailblazer and it's wonderful,
Yeah. We hope
very
so. I
exciting.
just hope we're listening. And we don't think it's not rocket science. It is doing what's right for people, and that's
Yeah.
really kind of, and, I think too often we talk about serving our residents or the experience the residents have. To us, it starts with the team. So if we
Yeah.
don't have those things for our team members first and foremost, I remember well, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, but there was a team member from a previous company who wanted Melanie to know where they had landed, not looking for a job, just being communicative. And she's
Mhm.
sitting there typing away and texting. And I asked who she's talking to. I don't think I said those words, but what was going on. And she was telling me who it was. And I thought, man, I just love that somebody outside of the industry now, not looking for anything, is reaching
Yeah.
out to somebody that they have felt like there was just a connection to or a mentorship or, somebody who they felt seen by, heard by, and just sharing, what was going on in life right now. There was no motivation. It was just intrinsically a human contact. And when we get away from all those things, there lies, I think a lot of the frustrations of what can permeate any company or any industry. But I think we're finding a way, or we've just authentically become what makes it so that it's enjoyable to be here.
Yeah.
And
And
the word
ultimately at
culture
the
is so overused, right? We try to get away from
yeah.
it. Maybe I'll speak for myself. I know I do because I used to think company culture was like ice cream on Fridays, like that's a great company. Um, And I think everybody tries to be the next company culture. And so they think of things like, let's do points to buy Amazon gifts for our team, or let's do this or that. But they're not hearing, right?
Yeah.
Hear what your team asks you for. And everyone's different, right? So we've got the team members. Like you said, I certainly treat my team like adults because they're better at what they do than I would be the first to say I would be lost with them. We're not gonna worry about what's happening at that exact moment and where you are. We just want to be part of the experience of making sure everybody's getting what they want out of this partnership and that it's of value to everyone.
I think that's great. And the funny thing, I always laugh too about the ice cream parties or the pizza parties, because when that
Yeah.
would happen and I was on site and I was overwhelmed with my workload, the last thing I would be like, I don't have time for
Yes.
pizza. We can't stop everything to have this pizza and then take a picture and hopefully post it on, that's
Yeah.
not, it's about these, what you're talking about, the daily touch points, the making them a part of it. Someone is so much more likely to put in that extra effort to pick up the trash off the ground if they have personal ownership in
Yeah.
this company objective and they feel like they actually have a say. Yeah, then they'll pick up the trash, but if it's just I'm just doing my X, Y, and Z that it's required of me, it's a very different vibe.
Absolutely. And same with residents, right? If it's their home, if they love their neighbors, if there's, different than just a breakfast on the go, which we do have,
Yeah.
or, our fun evenings and things like that, which is wonderful. But if we brought in wellness, true wellness, we've got a nutritionist who comes out. We have some faith-based initiatives. We have opportunities for people to partner locally with us, not pay us to be a partner, kind of is it of value to our residents? Because then we
Yeah.
want to be a partner with you. But when you do all of that, you're finding residents want to take care of their homes. And it's not a temporary, it's a permanent or a more permanent place for them. So they take a lot of pride in cleaning up after their dogs, things that might be I'm the guy who's telling you you have to do it and following the letter of the law of the lease to becoming, we're all part of this, right? I work where you live, and it's not lost on me that this is a special place to you. It's a special to me, but the fact that it's so special to you that you're cleaning it up or you're taking great care of it, it's a win for everybody. It's a win for ownership.
Yeah.
It's a real
Yeah.
win.
Yeah, and I think it's great that you're thinking that the site teams are the face of that. And that's really where that
Yeah.
energy comes from. And so when you have good people on site and you have the right people in the right seats and they're projecting that energy and then the residents are picking up on that and they feel heard and everybody's feeling heard, it really is
Right.
just the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And I think it's just it's so simple. It's so simple. But it may be not the ingrained way. And speaking from my own 22-year-old self, but knowing I've been in the industry for 25 years, I know it's not how I entered the industry. And that's not
Yeah.
about a company or anything done, it was just not what business was. The face of business has allowed people to flourish personally, share their stories, participate. And again, going back to social media or I hope, philanthropy, opportunities, a servant's mindset, and servant leadership, which again are so key terms that everybody makes sure they work into conversation versus the authenticity of genuinely being saying what you mean.
Yeah. I think it's wonderful. And I think tied with the innovation, because, what you're kind of saying is, people are catching up to this mentality, but, and not to brag on you, but you've been there already for years, right? For many, many years. So it's almost like having the innovative mindset that you've grown up with, where you're kind of seeing now, okay, I have to be on the forefront of AI. I have to be on the forefront of some of these. It kind of ties everything back together because the perfect combination of being on the forefront of that next wave of where we need to get our people leveled up to, it's all going to seamlessly transition so nicely because your people trust you. And and they know that you're going to ping them and say, "Hey, we're doing this AI thing. We're playing a little and we want you to be a part of this." That's exciting for them. It shouldn't be scary. It should be exciting, you know?
You hit the nail on the head. And there is some fear, right? And there's fear with centralizing, there's fear with AI, there's fear
Yeah.
with any of the unknown. Are my jobs going to be taken away? And here's the simple answer: no AI or centralized touch point can make a resident feel heard. In that
Mhm.
moment, when a resident is coming to you and tears in their eyes and they need something, because often that is how we hear things, that resident's whole need right now, yes, they may have something. They may have to, explain why they're going to be late this month. They may have something else. But what they really need to do is be heard. And
Mhm.
AI is too artificial to hear, and to understand the humanity behind that. We will not take away the need of the human interaction on any of our communities where it makes sense for our residents to feel heard. Will we take away, or we already are centralizing a number of items that could have been simplified or could have been run through a program and AI could have answered things for us. Of course,
Mhm.
because those aren't the fun things. Those are the end of the month rushes, right? And all the
Yeah.
craziness that people kind of, in my experience, I know people were always initially in the industry kind of starting out at one position and working at this, I go from this level, usually leasing, and then in the office at least, and then I'm an assistant manager, and then I'm a community manager to a regional, to an RVP, or whatever, however so that's not us, that, and I
Yeah.
will tell you that personally, I love to lease, right? I love spending the time with the residents. I love the resident experience. I want to be at every event. It's just who I am.
Mhm.
Please do not make me sit down and do FASs all day, right? So why would the best leasing professional potentially be that personality that wants to be around your residents and wants to be part of the touring and walking and having what if we did a mini model, or what if we did a candy bar instead of a mini model, or why don't we find a
Mhm.
fun way to make it interactive with the resident base? Does that personality always translate into the person making the delinquency calls? So there has to be
Yeah.
opportunities that are really about that person and not about the need of the property, so that the
Yeah.
personality of that person shines through. The excitement is there. So,
Yeah.
I heard it recently and I loved it. We're not looking for, a ladder to climb, but a lattice to climb.
Yeah.
So the industry has so many new and different opportunities, on whether it's vendors, whether it's operators, third party management. I mean, there's so many things that you could be doing, centralizing and working in different industry. If you had told me there'd be a department that was just related to resident retention, and how to make sure our experience and resident relations are at the forefront of everything we do, that was
Yeah.
not even a consideration 2, 3 years ago. So I
Right.
think that we look at it differently. As long as our team members feel that they have the path to be successful, they can't even all define it, right? What do you want to do in 5 years? I would have said before I'd like to be an RVP, but now I'm going to say that's not my passion. It's just what I see I thought I had to get to do next. So maybe my
Right.
passion is this, and maybe we can find a way to get there together.
No, I think that's brilliant. And I will acknowledge the concern because even working in the world of AI now and really trying to sink my teeth into it's not just AI, it's automation, innovation, all the things.
Yeah,
But really trying to sink your teeth into it, I was afraid to at first. I was like, is this going to put, me out of a job? Is that I mean, marketing was one of the first things to be
absolutely.
automated, right? Very simple to automate marketing. So even I was getting a little concerned. But what I realized when I got deeper into it was elevating me as a human. And that's exactly what you're
Mhm.
saying is it reminds you what it is to be human again and what those touch points look like when I'm not knee deep in building out social posts all day. I'm able
Yeah,
to kind of rise out of that and actually be a strategist and what you hired me to do in the first place. And
yeah,
so that's my 2 cents. I acknowledge that there is some fear that comes with that, but I also would acknowledge that when you lean into it, a whole world of possibilities opens up for you about who you are and what you're capable of.
that's
Truly.
it. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I agree 100%.
Yeah. And so, okay, let's talk. So RR is so forward thinking. What are some of the things on the horizon in the future, in your future that you're excited about, or any initiatives happening that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, probably my biggest excitement right now, our focus right now, and we have a lot. We've launched a lot this past year. We've got a lot that we have to make sure we are embracing in every medium and every opportunity and bringing it forward. I personally am so excited about what we call RR giving. I referenced that a little bit, and it's not just philanthropy, right? Philanthropy is, raising money for heaven forbid, a hurricane victim situation. This really is such an impactful opportunity. We have, with the support of our ownership, our parent company, we're really creating this arm of RR giving, or I'm sorry, of RR living as RR giving, that brings our team members into being a local servant ambassador. And we've actually hired, in some cases, what we call resident ambassadors or resident relation ambassadors. That's a little bit kind of different, because their idea is that they are going to provide the touch points in lifestyle, uh, that you just don't typically get. And that includes a wellness opportunity that's beyond the traditional yoga by the pool, right? We all have a little
Mm.
bit of something wonderful in our amenities. But
Yeah.
this could go as far as suicide awareness prevention. It could be
Wow.
mission based. It could be, there are things that we're starting to build out, recognizing that, none of us we're not MDs in those fields,
Right.
but if we can, yeah, I mean, it's if we can bring this to our team members the way we want to, and then bring it to our residents the way we envision, that serving our 50,000 residents takes a whole different meaning on. We've already done a couple of things. So, we twice a year, it's coming up in December. So it'll be fun again. But we actually have a day where we close our offices, and a lot of us do some of this, but our teams are in our 18 markets nationally are empowered to go where I should say 18 states, are empowered to pick where they can make the most impact. What mission, where are they serving food? What can they do? And take the day and, be available to that need. But then we want to bring it back. We want to have a partnership with them, and we want to make sure that it's not a one and done. And again, if everybody does a lot of those things like a canned food drive or Toys for Tots, and those are wonderful. And I hope that that's all continuing in our industry, and we certainly support them as well. But there isn't only a month and a half a year where people need things, and they're not
Right.
all always related to just somebody somewhere in a moment that is obviously in need. I mean, everyone has something that they have going on. We're not all therapists, but what can we do to make sure people are heard? What dreams can we bring true, right? What little magic can we make? Um, we have, we have a number of initiatives around it already. So as we're starting in 2025, we're trying to immerse our day to day in with that and make sure that there's just, a giving aspect or a servitude aspect, as we are able to provide not just a home and not just a home with a nice move-in gift, but a home with a specialized need based on what we understand that resident wants to either be a part of or become, make us aware of in a way, because we're now promoting that we can do all these things or have
Yeah.
additional platforms. And so we have a lot of things we're planning to launch as part of that. We'll see what sticks. We'll see what the residents want rather than just us saying we're doing it. We
Yeah.
actually do right now. I think our residents would love knowing this, but there is $1 from all of our rent collected on every single unit and all of our apartment communities that automatically goes to our giving initiatives, so that
Nice.
we're able to bring in answers and solutions for them. So, as a philanthropic option. So I'm pretty excited about that, if you can't tell. That's a kind of project that's got my passion running.
And it's so amazing because what it's really doing is uniting people. And I love that you're doing what you're starting with your teams and what works there. Giving days or one day off, of however often or what frequency, to take a day off and do that, but then bring that initiative back and we'll roll it out at the community. I think about that and I think a community manager is so much more likely to rally residents to
Mhm.
do something, whether it's a toy drive or to your point, handing out food, whatever it is, if they've already been doing that. So it's like it's
Right.
literally uniting the residents, the people who are, serving the residents, all it's bringing everybody together for a cause. And that's amazing. I think it's wonderful.
And that reminds me of one of the experiences. So we have a smaller community, under 150 units, and we have a team member there who has created a women's empowerment club, mainly
Mhm.
single women who happen to have shared needs, and she heard about it and she started it herself, and they spend time together when it makes sense and how it makes sense, and they lift each other up and they provide each other support, and they provide each other with other things, of course, any needs or, so that is only able to be facilitated because we've taken the centralizing of administrative work away from her day to day. Now she's
Mhm.
connecting. How would we have otherwise known, right? How's she ever going to know what's really going on behind the scenes? How could you spend a half an hour speaking with your resident about why there's, something going on that's of issue? And it turns out there were a number of people who would have benefited from that opportunity to all be together in that environment and handle things the way that they've decided to handle it. Doesn't mean we do it everywhere, but the opportunity for that alone, our giving initiative that seems a little bit less heartstring noted, right? But we created kind of a little pantry area at every one of our communities that has a lot of what our service requests come in asking for. You've got the chirping of your smoke detector, so you need batteries,
Right.
or you've got like a doorknob, or little things that nothing major, plungers
Mhm.
and little things. I don't want anybody snaking their whole building. But anything that allows them a light bulb in the bathroom, little things that allows our residents to come whenever they want after hours, not have us go into their home if they choose not to, because they're private if they want to be private. And it's not always,
Mhm.
I need you to come out here and we can't get there for 4 days. And now they have an
Yeah.
odd light in their bathroom driving them crazy or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So we make sure that we staff the communities. Like I said, we have funds through our giving program, little things like that, that make sure that what we hear the residents want, we're giving the residents. And that's not
Yeah.
even that, examples I'm constantly giving about real philanthropy, but that is philanthropic. We're hearing what you're saying and what you need. We're giving you the ways
Yeah.
to, work or live with us the best you
Mhm.
want us to be part of your day-to-day experience. And we hope we're giving a servant, persuasiveness. We're hoping to persuade you into being part of our long-term neighborhood instead of just community, because you see that it's not our way. It doesn't have to be our way. You've been triaged to the lower level. We'll get to you in a week, right? How about if we give you
Yeah.
whatever you need from us and not make you feel less important than something else?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that really takes away that mentality of, oh, we prioritize work orders that are more important. And, like, who
Yeah,
am I to say that a flickering light bulb is not incredibly important to somebody who works from home all day,
that's
and
it.
that's driving them crazy. So truly, like, so who am I to say to sit there and prioritize your work order over someone else's? Obviously, a flooding, ceiling, but still, at the end of the day, I think that alleviates some of that tension of like, this is available to you. I hear you. I understand that would drive me nuts too to have a flickering light bulb in my eye all day. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I could pick your brain all day because I just think you are amazing. And I love the way you think. And I love the way that you've brought all of these thoughts to our living. I love that you and Melanie, again, we're huge fans of, are just doing amazing things in our industry. And we're proud to have you as a council member. We're proud to have you both as, sponsors of or people who attend our summit. And to have you there every year. So, thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, and any inspirational words for our group?
No, I mean, honestly, I would want to say thank you because this has been a lot of fun. I always love talking about our living and what we get to do and how impactful it is. I will also say one of the best things, though, is, you know, we've participated at a lot of the events with multifamily women, and we had such an amazing time this year that on the
Mm.
spot, we were buying tables for next year. We already are talking about not only how we can make this something that, of course, we want our leaders there. Everybody does, but we want to bring this to the future, right? We want our team members that, could be awarded something special and maybe wouldn't always be at a leadership level innovation opportunity. So we've got great plans with the Multifamily Council and Multifamily Leadership, and we're excited about Multifamily Women next year. So I thank you for the invite. This has been great.
Thank Thank you. And that's what we want to hear. We recently opened up group pricing really because you all were one of the first ones to be like, we want to bring a lot of people. How do we do
Yeah, that's it.
and yeah, and I love that you think of it as a gift to someone to say, "Hey, come here and learn and grow and, learn from others who are exactly like you." And I just think it's wonderful. So,
That's it.
thank you for being a supporter. We are huge fans of RR Living, and thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Absolutely, Lauren. And I think you could say the same about how our living feels about everybody there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank-
All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks, Amy. And thank you all for tuning in to the Multifamily Women podcast. Feel free to sign up for the summit next year at multifamilywomen.com.